I'm this far from the mic.
And I'm this far from the mic.
And we are these fars from the mic. It's been a few weeks, I think.
Whoa, what a throwback.
Yeah.
When was the last time we've done that?
It's been a while. It's been a hot minute. This is Pokemon Colosseum again. And we've been not playing it for a while because you've reached a very grindy part of the game.
Yeah, so I have a ton of Shadow Pokemon, and I was originally like, I'm gonna purify them all, right? It takes a long time. Even with, if you like go through constant battles, like if you do the Mount Battle Challenge, it still takes forever. It's just not really worth it. I'm pretty sure I at least fixed some of them. Yeah, I did this guy and Stantler. I don't think anybody in my party is. But I can go purify these guys, and then we're just gonna play the game because Murkrow's dead good too.
Yeah, it's this game's a fucking nightmare.
It's just like there's better Pokemon games you could be playing. Why would I want to grind in this game? And the battles are so slow too.
This game is so badly thought out. It's astounding. Because the reason you have to grind is that they just didn't put put way too many shadow Pokemon and made them way too hard to purify.
I think they wanted to give you some sort of variety in like who you would have on your party, but like it's very clear which Pokemon are good. There's a lot of Pokemon that are trash. Like you can get a Ladian in this game, like fairly late. It's not a Pokemon you would ever consider having on your team. It's just a thing you have to train so you can beat the game.
Right.
And you have to train them all.
Like fucking like to even get the
Ho-Oh. To get Ho-Oh. Like you can still get the credits, but like if you want to get the one like the cover legendary, you have to literally go through and
so terrible. And like it's really funny to think that there are still a lot of people who like this game just because, I mean, it's a fucking Pokemon game. And you probably played it when you were a fucking kid and you didn't think about how fucking asinine this was, you know? Like...
I mean, to be fair, you don't have to train all your Pokemon. But if you're a completionist autist
if you
like
want
me...
Ho-Oh,
yeah, I mean... You kind of buy a Pokemon game because you want to get the cover legendary. Like, there wasn't really an easy way to get Ho-Oh when this game came out.
Like, to be clear... Catching every Pokemon in...
Okay, there's another Pokemon that's even harder to get. Scizor is in this game, but you have to have the E-reader.
Oh, no.
You have to have the
Pokemon
Pokemon
can you get
card.
Ho-Oh without getting Scizor?
Yeah, but like it's just like an extra Pokemon in the game. But you have to use an E-reader to get Scizor.
That's
like, why would they do this?
Yeah, the thing is that like, if you wanted to get all the Pokemon in a regular Pokemon game, they account for that as a potential experience, and they try their best to make it so that is fun. That, like, not only is beating the game fun, but even going so far as to catch every Pokemon should also be fun. Mm-hmm. And that's why they make the evolutions so many new, like, mechanics. Like, they come up... Like, a lot of the times when a new mechanic is introduced to Pokemon, and a lot of players are just like, oh, I don't understand why they put this in the game, there's usually one Pokemon who evolves using that mechanic. And some people don't like that because they see it as like, oh, they're trying to force the mechanics on you. But I see it as it's a way to mix it up when you're trying to catch every fucking Pokemon, so you're not doing it the same way every single goddamn time. And it makes the world feel more alive and varied, and like the Pokemon have more distinctive properties when they have these other ways of evolving, you know?
Yeah, and it also makes you pay attention to like different mechanics of the game. Like some Pokemon, happiness is important, and if you weren't aware that that was something your Pokemon had a value for, and that's kind of neat. Or like Hitmon...
Exactly.
Tyrogue like evolves when its like stat is a certain number.
But like in Pokemon X and Y, they got really out of hand.
Oh yeah.
Because they put so many fucking Pokemon in the game, so they had to create the Battle Chateau to make it so that you could like fucking, you know, hatch the sheer number of eggs that you would have to hatch, and to fucking train up the sheer amount of small time Pokemon that you have to. And it was a huge fucking pain in the ass. It was like a really terrible mechanic, and like, to be honest, where I had fucked up really was that I was even trying to do it like along the way of the game. It's like it would almost be easier to just beat the game and then go back and try to get all the Pokemon in that game, as opposed to trying to do it over the course of your journey, because at the end you'll have like the Pokemon League and you can use that to get to, but I mean that would just be an endless grind though, and at least I could stop the grind for a few, for a little while to continue the game. But yeah, like there was a lot of grinding involved in catching every single Pokemon in X and Y, and that was the worst part of the game. But like, it was still fun because there was so much variety in what had to be done, and what Pokemon had to be used. But in this game, it's just like you have to go and fight the same trainers again and again and again to do this, and it takes fucking forever. It literally takes hours to do like a couple Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like you grinded in like huge chunks. Like the first time you did that big grind, that was a few episodes back.
It took like probably 6 hours to do like
of like constant grinding.
Yeah, to do like a little bit
more
than 6
rearranged
Pokemon.
The whole house or something while you were doing that. Like yeah, it was fucking. It was a lot. Man, that was a while ago.
Right here.
Time has been flying by these
I know.
last few months.
It's been 3 weeks since we've recorded this.
Yeah, and it had been like 2 weeks or 3 weeks before that, and then another 3 weeks before that. So it's like the early episodes were definitely a lot closer together than the later episodes of this.
Yeah,
but that's how these tend to go if they go for long enough.
They're long episodes, and we have more to talk about, I guess, if we do it this way.
Yeah, and also that I mean, the thing about a game like this is that when you're not really feeling this drive to play it again, it's like it makes it drawn out.
Oh yeah.
Like me and Victor, the reason that Digi Bros used to get made so Digi Bros was ludicrously consistent for a video series that I was a part of.
Yeah, sometimes you had like episodes coming out every day for like a long stretches of time.
Sometimes twice a day for long stretches of time. And the reason is that A, we were so far ahead of schedule, but B, Victor would just really want to play the game. Because it was mostly like we were replaying a lot of our favorite games. And so if it was like Dark Souls or Zelda, Victor was just like, oh, I really want to play more Zelda. Let's record some Digibros so I can play Zelda, Like it was just an excuse for him to play a video game. Because like I think for a lot of people, and this seems to be more... I think this is why video games are perceived as a guy thing, because I don't know as many girls who play them this way, but because of the fact that me, Victor, and Shade are who we are, we've all found girlfriends who will actually play video games this way as like your natural like zen state. It's like I know I feel okay if I'm playing this game,
Yeah, just put a controller in your hand and all your problems melt away.
And for me, I don't feel that way. I didn't develop games to feel that way, except for when I'm really playing something that has nothing to do with work. I guess really, I've started to feel that way about like Bloodborne. I felt really good playing Bloodborne on the stream the other day because of the fact that it was like a game I've played through multiple times, and I feel comfortable with the controls and everything, and I'm just like, yeah, it's one of my favorite games. I know what's going on in this game. I've seen it many times.
Yeah.
And like I know I'm not worried about making a video about this game, I know that it's not even on my mind. I did a Bloodborne video once before that was really successful. I have no reason to strike that well again, when Sekiro comes out, I'll have to make that kind of consideration for at least a short while until I do make a video about it. But like I can just play Bloodborne with nothing else on my mind and be like, yeah, I'm having a good time. But like it's such a hassle to like hook up and turn on a game, and like for me when I play games, I'm gonna be just like, it's only fun for me if I can just do it all day,
Yeah.
Like I don't have fun like playing a video game in 2-hour chunks, because I just kind of don't get invested enough in like what's going on in the story to keep caring about it over enough time, Like if playing the game is just fun in itself, like a Souls game, it might be different. But like with most games, it's like you're expected to kind of have some idea what the hell's going on, and like maintain a level of giving a fuck about what's going on over the course of the story, you know?
Yeah.
And that's harder and harder to do the more you do it in bite-sized chunks. You want to just be like engrossed and doing it all the way, you know? Unless it's a game you know extremely well. But like, yeah, so I think that a lot of people, their idea of just like being like the same way that my dad's Zen state is watching TV. He comes home from work, he changes into his like, you know, his
PJs.
Not even PJs, but he always wears sweatpants and like a sweatshirt. Like he's just a very sweatpants sweatshirt kind of guy. And he gets home and he immediately changes, and then he just watches TV until it's, you know, until it's late, and then he goes to bed because he doesn't really want to, like, it's not to say that he's always focused on the TV, because sometimes he'll be playing on his phone, you know, or involved in work stuff even at home, you know, having to take calls and shit, or like he might read a book or something, do something else. But like for the most part, he'll just sit there and watch TV because it's like, I feel secure when I'm in this state. I feel like I'm doing something that makes me feel good for the sake of killing time, you know. And that's great. I think it's something that I miss in my life. I don't have enough of that. I kind of feel that way when I'm like watching YouTube videos, but sometimes that feels like a real waste of time.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we don't have cable, so we don't have like TV that we just errantly watch. When we watch anime, it's more of a business-like approach because it's like I need to intake all of this information so that it can be.
Yeah, you can't just casually watch it because like you're
Right.
expected to be paying attention to everything, or else somebody's gonna be like, "Oh, well, you weren't paying attention at this part." Like,
Right, exactly.
Like people consume anything that way.
Yeah. So, and then with video games, it's like I have to really be willing to take off like a couple of days to plow through a game because that's the way I want to play it. It's just like nonstop burst.
I mean, that's
you
the
know?
only way you're gonna get it done in a timely fashion.
Right, and not just end up giving up on it after a couple days. When I inevitably end up in another like work grind, you know? Because like if I'm just trying to casually like, oh, I'm gonna watch 2 hours of this every day or something, or I'm gonna play 2 hours of this game every day. It's like one of those days. There's gonna be a day where I want to work on a video for a 9-hour stint, and there's not gonna be a 2-hour game session, and then it's just gonna fall out of, you know. And like as time goes on, I'll get interested in doing other things as well, and I'll be like, oh well, you know, I don't even remember what's going on in this game, so I'm gonna start something different, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like you gotta plow through it. So.
Gotta plow.
But like, yeah, so I don't really find myself casually playing games that often unless I could take time off to do it. I don't find myself casually watching anime basically almost ever, except for when we do choose, like sometimes we choose shows that we just watch on the side. A lot of our rewatching is more casual because I'll just be like, hey, let me show you this great show that I love, you know, and then like I can just kind of relax and show you a show that is good, you know. But like, even still, I'm going to try to be paying my full attention just in case I can get something out of it, you know, for work purposes, and just to renew my cachet of memories about anime that I pull from, you know.
Of course.
So yeah, I do listen to a lot of music because that allows me to do other things at the same time. So it's an easier thing to consume. And I'm sure there's some people who literally just like read books all day. Like, I think people who are generally well read, that's how they get that way. You're kind of like that. You'll just read a book.
Yeah.
Like,
It'll
you'll
be like
just
the
lay
thing
back
I do
and
for
crack a book open for a couple
day,
hours.
yeah.
And like, you literally will consume a book over the course of like a whole month at like a rate of a couple hours every couple of days.
Yeah, if I just have it and I pick it up when I'm taking a break or something.
I cannot do that.
It's hard for me to read when you're like playing rap music.
Yeah.
So that's why sometimes like I leave. I'm just like,
I see. That's hilarious.
I mean, it's
You can
hard
just ask
to
me to change the music.
like it's hard to read when there's like
There's
music
words.
with words.
I can't write when I'm listening to rap music for the same reason.
Yeah.
I think I have struggled with reading for that.
I mean,
purpose,
I
too.
can. It's just like it's a slower process.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, you should just say something, because that would definitely change the music.
I haven't really been into a book
Yeah.
lately, though.
Well, you've been reading a lot of manga.
Yeah.
You read.
Which is not like you can easily read
You
manga.
caught
it's
up
not-
on Dead Demons Day Destruction. How was that?
I liked it.
Yeah.
The first volume, like you read me the first chapter.
I
and you
read
weren't-
you the first chapter when I was really baked, and I didn't understand what was
Yeah,
happening
because
at
it's kind
all.
of confusing. Like once you get to actually spend time with the characters, and they introduce like more characters, and it's all very like weirdly realistic and mundane, even though there's like an alien attack going on at the same time, and it's really fascinating. There's one character who's like a game dev from America who is making a video game about like a magical girl Lolly, but for whatever reason like they're pulling the plug on the game because it has lollies in it, and it's like feminists are against it. And it was really funny because then his friend like dresses up in the cosplay of the magical girl.
Yeah.
And it was just like really weird, but it was awesome.
It sounds like a lot of stuff in Inio Asano's manga strikes me as stuff that was like created so that when you describe it, it sounds really hilarious.
Yeah.
You know?
Or like insane. Like I have
Right.
to read this manga where the guy poops in a girl's mouth.
Right. Yeah,
It's like painted as
how
like
did you feel about A Girl on the Shore as compared to Dead Demon?
I think Dead Demon is like fun and is like enjoyable to read, whereas A Girl on the Shore is like painful. And like you can relate to some of the feelings the characters are having, but there's nothing satisfying about the story. So like when you get to the end, it's just like I read this, but like I already know like
I already know that
I
the
already
world
know
is
the
fucking weird
feelings.
and
Like I've
fucked
already
up.
felt this pain in real life.
Yeah.
I didn't think the characters were that deep.
No.
Like they had like, you know, well-written characters and seemed realistic, but they weren't really deep. They're kids.
Right.
Uh,
I was telling you this, I think I talk about it, in fact, in the first episode of Dead Project's Graveyard, my new patron-exclusive podcast at the $7 tier, where I talked about my failed story, fucking Panoptic, Yggdrasil's Panopticon, Jesus Christ. I was going to write this story, and I had made like a couple of very young characters. It was like the main characters like middle school girls, and I realized that as I was writing the story that the reason that I went for that and why most people do is that you can set something in a contemporary setting while letting the characters you don't have to describe anything about how their lives work. Because if you say, "Oh, I'm a middle school kid," it's like, okay, we already know exactly what most of your life is like. You spend 8 hours a day going to and from school.
Yeah.
You know, you probably have like a at least pseudo-functional family, you know, like, unless otherwise stated. It's like if you're living a perfectly normal formulaic lifestyle, there's nothing super complicated that's going to be going on in a middle schooler's life unless they live a super complicated life, you know? So it's like, it's just easy mode for having your characters be able to, like, have all of their interaction be with the story and never with anything else. You don't have to account for anything, because if your character is, like, a 40-year-old with 3 kids, you can't write that story without accounting for those kids. And if they're also, you know, a part of like a large social community, you have to account for their social community. And if they're in any kind of position that has any kind of politics to it, you know, you can't ignore those politics. And so it's just like, if you want to write a complicated story, you have to write about complicated people. And if you choose to write about the least complicated people, that can be fine if your story is going to have a bunch of complex rules and shit that it's better to just pare down the basics and like Also, it's not always a problem to do something, you know, simplistic.
No,
Obviously, a lot
there's
of media aimed at younger people is that way, especially. But, like, I just had... When I started up my story and I realized that, like, I was clearly not writing to the full extent of what I could be, because I decided to choose to write about such a simplistic character, which is kind of easy mode, you know? And I felt like I should challenge myself more by writing about more complex characters, you know? Like, try to write some adult characters. And then figure out, like, everything that's going on in their life. Like, what are they concerned about? What are their needs and, you know, prerogatives? I've gone down a weird rabbit hole of thoughts here. What's going on over in Pokemon Land?
Well, trying to pay attention to this fight. It's been going on pretty long.
There's a melodic.
I thought a Milotic was a dragon type, so I was using all of the wrong moves against it.
Isn't Milotic
But it's
Gen
water. 3? Yeah, it's Gen 3.
Whoa. Interesting.
There's
Gen
this
3
channel
inclusion.
that's called Squish Clay, and they like the guy
Oh,
makes
yeah.
Pokemon figures out of just like clay, like
Yeah.
colored clay, and he does a video of Milotic, and that was the first one I saw, and it's just like the funnest thing to watch. It's like
He's-
super cathartic.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah.
Because he's obviously just like, you know, like he's a master of doing this, because he's got extremely deft hands with it. Like, he just like, he makes it look easy.
Yeah.
Basically.
And I
is
mean,
what I'm trying
the
to
thing,
say.
Pokemon are really like great looking in clay because the colors.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've seen like a lot of people sculpt with clay. It just like it looks really cool when it's a Pokemon.
Right, because the Pokemon designs are so
They're-
fucking good.
Yeah, and they're so like bubblish and
Yeah,
it
and
just,
he
like,
gets the
comes out
colors
really
just
good.
right.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. He like knows exactly how to mix every color, and it's just like
Right. He makes the colors to make them look like Pokemon, which is like pretty high bar. And yeah, like the videos are edited to be very fast and fun to watch. I believe we just had them like you were just like watching them one after another, like sped up on mute while we were playing some kind of music over it, and
yeah.
just marathoning it for like an hour and a half.
It was just really like awe-inspired by how he could shape Pokemon out of clay, out of just like basic red, green, blue, yellow clay, but he could like make fully accurate Pokemon. Blew my mind, man.
I'm a fully accurate Pokemon.
That's pretty crazy.
So, yeah. I wanted to bring up, to continue the discussion from the previous episode, about being a huge misanthrope. Do you remember that?
Of course.
God, that was ages ago now. But I've still been clinging on to this idea that I forgot to mention in the last rant. Like, literally, I had thought of this before that rant, forgot to mention it, and have now been clinging on to it ever since.
Yeah, you kept like asking to do a Pokemon Let's Play, and I'm just like, I don't
Yeah.
want to play Colosseum. I can't
Yeah.
convince
I mean,
myself
I want
that this
us
is
to-
the best use of my time.
The reason I kept asking you how far in we are is that, like, because we're so close to the end, because you said that we could probably do it in, like, a couple more sessions, like one or two, like,
Yeah.
either this or the next episode, is kind of like what you implied.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
like-
I'm pretty sure I'm close to the end. I don't actually know because I've never beaten the game all the way.
Right. But, like, if we can just beat the game and fucking move on to the next game, like, you know, that'd be great. Because, like, our main goal here was to beat the game, because you'd never beaten it before.
Yeah, I was interested in playing through all of the game for myself.
Right. And you were
I'm not a
planning to,
quitter
like,
either. Like,
you were planning to go all the way and get Ho-Oh, but, like, do you necessarily care about going that far at this point?
I will probably have to just do it off screen and then like do like a super finale maybe.
Yeah, like, whenever you
Like
felt like
getting
it.
Ho-Oh doesn't mean anything because it's an emulator.
Yeah.
It's not like a legit Ho-Oh.
I did that with, well, I think it might be feasible to
You can
put
transfer it
this
to other emulators,
save
but
onto-
like
Could it possibly be possible to put this save onto a memory card and, like, load it onto your GameCube? I wonder. I don't know if that's possible. But in any case, what the hell was I saying before you
You
brought
were
that up?
talking about being a misanthrope.
Oh. I didn't mean to go that far back. Something before that about Pokemon.
Beating the game?
Oh, about getting Ho-Oh. Yeah, like I did that with Kirby 64 early into Digibro's history. Taking you on a throwback here because I've been looking through all my old videos lately. Yeah, in the Kirby 64 video series, like we beat the game, but I found out that if you get like all the stars, there's a secret boss. So I just went off screen and did that and came back like weeks later and recorded a finale.
Yeah. That would be what I'd do if I still wanted to get Ho-Oh, but we'll see. If the end of the game sucks, like,
Yeah.
why would I bother?
Yeah.
But I do want to catch all the shadow guys.
We also don't know if there's like a point of no return where you can't go back and get everything, you know? But I guess you just don't save over your save file.
I mean, I have everything so far.
I'm saying that, like, let's say you beat the game on screen. You can't, and then, like, you can't go back because it writes over your save file or something, you know? But, like, as long as you don't save after beating the game, you should be able to just reload your previous save.
Yeah, I have no idea how it works. We shall see.
But, yeah,
Why did I fly? Why did I do this? Who's gonna murder him?
point being, we might just try to beat this game so that we can move on to another game. We had bought a game to do after this, like, over a month ago, that I had completely forgotten about.
Don't die. He died! No! We have to restart.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Sorry.
Oh, boy. I didn't
I
realize
thought the
we were
fly
on
was
the
gonna hit
cusp of
Ariados,
peril.
but I didn't realize that, like, I wasn't paying attention. Because everything's a fucking double battle.
Oh, God. Don't press anything.
Sorry.
Hey, alright. Where the fuck is Dolphin?
I'm excited to play Princess Maker once we finally beat this.
Yeah, so that's what we bought Princess Maker 2 on Steam. Because it was on sale, I think. And, like, it looks cute as fuck. And it's made by Gynax. So...
Hell yeah.
So we were like, yeah, we'll play this after we finish Colosseum. But then it's been, like, we just haven't gotten around to finishing Colosseum. I also was talking about the potential of doing a series where I play Dark Souls 3. Though after playing Bloodborne on fucking the I Am Game stream, I came to the conclusion that if that happened, you'd probably have to carry the show more than I do. Which I think happened in the Bloodborne Let's Plays, right? Didn't you have to, like, do all the topics and shit?
I had to do some, like, probably more than usual.
Yeah.
Because I know it's hard to talk and play at the same time, because
Right.
I fail to understand what I'm doing when I'm talking, and then I
Right.
use fly and kill the Heracross.
Yeah. No, it's really funny, but it's one of those things that, like, everyone who does it says it's hard, but the audience always gives you shit for being bad. Like, every Let's Player I've ever seen who tries to, like, actively hold a conversation and play a game
I mean, most,
plays
like,
worse.
Let's Players who, like, are focused on gameplay will just commentate over the footage.
Right.
Like, most people aren't,
You either commentate over footage or you are more reacting to what's happening. Like, reacting to what's happening in the game doesn't take a lot of thought.
No.
And people will say things like, oh, I see Twitch streamers all the time who talk and play at the same time. And it's like, there's two different types of those. There's the ones who are, like, just reacting to literally what's happening and not, like, having to think about anything outside of what's going on. Or they're so ludicrously good at the game that even when they're not playing at full capacity, it's still really impressive.
yeah, that's
know?
what you get on Twitch, because, like, people who play a game on Twitch are good at that game that they play.
Right.
Like, a lot of people go to see, like, Fortnite or League, and it's like those
Yeah.
people are really fucking good at the game.
And when they're doing something serious, they're not talking over it. Like, if you watch a speedrunner, they're not talking through the whole fucking speed run, you know?
No.
They talk at, like, the brief moments they have available. But, like, nonetheless, people will always grill you for making mistakes in a fucking Let's Play, even though they know that it's not easy to play and talk at the same time. They just want an excuse to grill you.
Yeah.
And to show off that they know how the game is supposed to be played. You know?
Which is fine.
Yeah. I guess. No,
If
it's
it makes
not.
the person if the person wants
It's
to
not
watch the
okay.
video so they can shit on you, let them fucking watch the video and shit on you. You know?
Yeah.
That's how they find peace with themselves.
Turn this game down a little bit. I feel like it's possible. Echo. Although I have the recording volume hella low.
People, like, on Twitch, too, like, they're just responding to comments, so you don't have to come up with topics to talk about.
That's often true. I mean,
But you do have to know how to stretch it, too.
we've
You have
done
to,
some
like,
Q. Well, I don't know if you and I have ever done a Q&A on a Let's Play show. Because me and Victor, when we were doing the Wind Waker, we had like run out of discussion topics, so we just
So you did a
took
Q&A?
questions, and we would like, you know, I wrote down like a fucking 100 questions because some people would ask like a whole ton of them, and we just went through one by one and answered
killed
at as
him.
much length as humanly
killed
possible.
him. I did it again.
Well, I guess I'll have to hit that there X button and reopen that there program. Oh boy. Maybe we're not that close to the end. Are you even...
Heracross is really frail.
So if you kill these guys, there's just no way to ever get them again, right?
No, I think there is a way to get them again. I just don't feel comfortable because
Yeah.
I don't know how it happens.
Right.
Because I know, like, we're at the end of the game and there's, like, second chances for a lot of the Pokemon, but I want to catch them all in the first try.
Yeah.
Even if I have to reset the game and make people, you know, endure me trying 3 times to catch a Heracross.
So
Because I want to play the game to its fullest. That's why.
let's tell the story of what we did the other day,
Sure.
if you want to, unless you want to save that for a patron podcast.
We could just talk about it. We went to get weed again because Conrad literally can't stop smoking weed.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, yeah, let's go because I don't think it's going to be too bad. The stores have been open for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We should go right when it opens.
For clarity, because we only told the story of last time on the 2 weeks review, so I have to let people know a little bit of the preamble to this first. Simply that we went to the the first legal weed dispensary to open on the East Coast ever was in Leicester,
No, it's
Leicester,
probably
Leicester,
Leicester,
wherever the
who
fuck it
knows?
is, Massachusetts, middle of nowhere center of Massachusetts. And there were 2 places in Massachusetts that opened up
One's
on the same day.
Northampton, one
Yeah.
was Leicester.
And so, because of May keeping very close tabs on all of the information that was coming out about it,
to
in
be
the lead
fair,
up to it,
they made it pretty easy because the Boston Globe opened up a marijuana section to the paper, like
Yeah.
the sports section.
right?
They now have the marijuana section.
Excellent. So we kept up with the news. We made a perfect plan, and we executed this plan perfectly. We were like first in line. We were, like within the first 10 people in the line at the opening. We got interviewed on the news 3 times. It was epic.
It was fun, even though we had to wait in line for an hour.
Yeah, we had to
It
drive.
was fun.
The place is like an hour and 15 minutes away from Boston, so it's like a long drive. and then you had to, like, we had to wait an hour, and then it was a long drive back. But it was a lot of fun because of the event and the spectacle of it. Well, we waited for 2 hours because we had to show up early to the line. But, like, whatever.
Yeah, but we were in our car. I don't really
Right.
count that, because, like, waiting in the line is different. Like,
Yeah.
you are in the cold.
Right.
Like, in the car, you can listen to your own
It was
music.
snowy out and shit.
It's just like being in the car.
But yeah, but like it was fun because we were getting interviewed and shit, and it was whatever. So like, we told the full story of this on the 2 Weeks Review. If you want to fucking hear it, I probably also talked about it on Pub Crawl or something. But like, those are so far behind that this will come out before that. So anyways, and like we had dodged the line of the century because like we showed up so early, and we were like the first in line basically, and like right when we were leaving, it was like the whole fucking town was on lock, like gridlock with cars because of this.
Yeah, they had
fucking...
to strut down like Main Street in the town.
Right. So we you know, we smoked all the weed over the course of 2 weeks.
We, in quotation marks.
Mostly me. I smoked through all the weed in the course of 2 weeks, and I was fine with that.
One ball.
I was like, whatever. Yeah. I've done what I've done. And we were like, we definitely want to have more by the holiday season, but we were like, we can wait. We can, you know, we'll just wait till the holidays. And then the next few days, we were just really bored. Like, we didn't have much to do. I had, like, I kind of finished all my work. Like, I finished there was, part of the problem with the weed situation was that over the course of the 2 weeks that I was smoking weed, I was constantly dodging the responsibility of editing my Tales of Fantasia video. I was doing everything else that I could possibly do other than edit that video. And the second that I finished off the weed, I edited the video in like a astonishingly short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, probably all told like 8 or 9 hours, like, you know, across 3 days, because I had done the first couple minutes of it like earlier on, and then I went back and did like a 25-minute chunk and then another 25-minute chunk, and it was done, you know?
Yeah.
Over the course of 2 days. So yeah, it was like, okay, well, I finally got the work done, so like, you know, that's cool. I'm finally not smoking weed all day and dodging this video. I ran out of weed, and then I felt like, okay, I'll fucking do this stupid video. And then I did, and then I was like, oh, well, that was easy. What do I do now? Well, I was having lots of fun ideas when I was sitting around smoking all day watching stuff. Maybe I should sit around smoking all day watching stuff. And you were like, alright, whatever. Let's go get more. So we went back. And
yeah, I mean, it's fun to get weed.
Yeah.
Like, going to the dispensary is fun because they have a whole lot of new shit.
it's something to do.
It's something to do.
Because even though it's like a 3-hour drive, we had nothing better to do for 3 hours. So it was like...
and I, like, honestly didn't think that the line would be bad.
Right,
Because
well...
we were planning on going right when it opened.
We were going... Because they open at 10 a.m. And we're like, alright, we've been up, you know, we'd been up at night because we were on a nighttime awake schedule. So we were just like, let's go as soon as they open, and we'll be first in line, and it probably won't... I was just thinking it would be like packed. Like, I wasn't thinking it would be like a line out the door. I was just thinking there'd be a lot of people in there, you know? Like a because that's how it was when I went to the one in Portland. You know, it was just like, yeah, there's like 10 or so patrons in this place. You know, it wasn't a frenzy because it'd been legal for a long time. And there was a lot of places.
A line, but like not out the building.
Turns out we ended up driving an hour 15 minutes to this place and standing in line for 2 hours, longer than we were in line the first time on opening day. Because on opening day we were 10th in line. Because we had planned it so well, because the thing is that on opening day, they had a thing that said, like, the store's gonna open at 8, but the line doesn't start until 7. So you cannot be here before 7. So we got there at, like, 6:45 to get in the line of cars that leads to the line. And so we were, like, among the first people there. Before it became a fucking madhouse. But this time, our mentality was that it wasn't going to be, like, super serious. So we were just, like, you know, we showed up at, like, 10:15, you know? Like, it was a little past
we showed
opening.
up, like, pretty
People
much
were in there.
when it opened.
So, like, as opposed to being 2 hours early, or, you know, an hour and 15 minutes early, and therefore getting into line first, we were 15 minutes late, and therefore had to stand in line for 2 hours, you know? So, yeah, it turns out that they were still doing the whole parking lot shuttle system that we talked about in the 2 weeks review. They were, like, it was exactly the same as it had been opening day. It was, like, it wasn't crazy enough that the whole town was fucking overrun with cars. Like, people were getting into the lot right away. You know, it wasn't a line to get into the lot, but, like, you had to wait for shuttles, and there was, like, a huge line going around the building. Everyone's talking about it, you know, about, like, their experiences over the last couple weeks now that it's been legal, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, it was still an event, which made it still kind of fun. Like, in spite of the fact that we froze our asses off and fucking had to stand around for hours on end, it was still kind of fun because it was such a big deal, and we bought a shitload of weed, and yeah, it was a good time.
They did limit it to, like, a half an ounce a person.
Yeah, so we had to just split our order,
Which is still, like, a fine amount. Like, the
Right.
other place is still, like, an eighth a person.
Yeah,
But,
ludicrous.
like, the first time we went, there wasn't a limit.
The whole situation is still pretty ass. It's like, it's really nice to have legal weed for sale, but it's still an ass situation.
Yeah, and
Like,
I mean, there's other ways to obtain it, but, like...
when you've seen what it's supposed to work like in other places, like, because my mom lives in California now. My parents moved to California to stay with my granddad. Did that story get told on, like,
You've told it before.
But where? Was it on the Bloodborne Let's Plays
I
or
have
something?
no idea. You've definitely talked about it before, but you couldn't...
Whatever. My mom found out about who her real dad was after, like, 54
it's crazy.
years of life, and he was 70 and had never heard of her at all. Had no idea she existed. So, they now my parents have now moved into his house to take care of him for the rest of his life, because, like, him and my mom have completely love each other now. Like, absolutely ecstatic to
They're
have found each other.
BFFs.
They are BFFs. It's fucking wild. So, yeah, they moved to California, and my mom, being as she is a big-time stoner, is just, like, completely taken to the weed life now that she's there. She's like, oh, it's legal and it's everywhere, of course I'm gonna smoke constantly, you know?
Yeah.
Which is the same mentality I would have in that situation, you know? It's like, oh, well, this is just like drinking beer, which I already do 3 or 4 times a week, you know? Like, yeah. But, my mom just keeps, like, texting me and shit about, like, different strands she's tried, and, like, all the, like, she wants to start a podcast about fucking weed reviews and shit. She's like, oh, you guys gotta move to California and we'll make a cannabis cast and, like, fucking review all this weed. And I'm just like,
Yeah, she wants to get, like, minor celebrities on the show, because, like, you know, the cool
Yeah.
thing to do is if you're famous is to have your own strand. And to,
Right.
like, have those people come on the podcast, which I think would be
did she
dope.
actually say she wanted them to come on the podcast?
Yeah,
I just
she
thought she
said
wanted us to
that.
review celebrity
No, she said that
strands.
she, like, knew people who, like, had strands or something, I thought.
That, I mean, I wouldn't put it past her.
I'm
to
pretty sure you said
fucking
something
find
like
some
that.
way. But, like, yeah, she's just, like, way into
The weed life.
way into it, and, like, we're out here, like, yeah, we've got, like, one store that opened 6 months late and is fucking an hour and 15 minutes away, and when you go there you have to wait in line for 2 hours, and spend $420 on an ounce of weed, you know, that you could probably go through in a couple of weeks if you put your mind to it, you know. Apparently, we used to smoke an ounce of weed literally once a week, trying to get some relief from the hell that I perceive. According to my old lyrics, I believe that.
I mean, there's 2 of us, so
Yeah.
it's definitely believable, but concerning.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, we ain't that crazy no more. But having weed is nice. Gives you something to do. In this world where there's not much to do. Everybody acts like there's a lot to do, but there's really not that much to do. I think a lot of people just do things and like hype those things up.
Yeah, I mean,
on the
a lot of
basis
the
that they are
things
something
that
to
people
do.
do are just like rehashing things
Yeah.
with like a different coating on it. Like, let's
Yeah.
go to this restaurant.
Yeah. Oh.
And I mean, there's definitely things to do. It's just like, are they more fun than things you can do at your house?
Almost never.
Usually they're not.
I mean, think of it this way: you can go to another country, and you can see the stuff that you read about and looked at in the pictures of it, or you can go and play a video game and see something that there is no pictures of and a book about, because it's not real unless you watch analysis videos, in which case you can just do what I do and not go anywhere or consume anything, but just simply watch analysis videos about everything. And that can be how you understand the world, is through people boiling down the information to its most essential elements, and you having just a broad categorical knowledge of basically everything, but no real depth of understanding of any of it, with the exception of one field that you kind of specialize in. But have taken such a career focus in that you will never have the level of expertise of someone who is purely doing it out of passion and has no desire to make money off of it.
Alas. But then that person is making their living doing something that isn't their passion.
That's true.
Unless they somehow got
Or
lucky
fuckboy.
enough to be able to just
What if they're passionate about
scrape
everything?
by.
What if they're just like a
then they're a
go-getter?
bloomer and they're not human.
Fucking bloomers. Fucking bloomers. Go listen to Andrew WK, you bloomer. God, what else has happened?
What do you mean? We don't do anything. You just said so.
We watch animes.
Yeah, and every time we watch an anime, we make a video about that, so it's already been covered.
Yes. We play Vidya. We saw Mirai of the Future.
Yeah, we definitely should save something for the 2 weeks review.
Yeah, that we're gonna talk about there.
Yeah.
But we did see it, so I'm
We
just
saw
letting you
it.
all know that we did the thing. We went out, we got burgers, and they
Oh yeah,
weren't
we
that
went out to
good.
that there's like this big mall in Dedham that is like a shopping center outlet,
Yeah.
and we've been there a couple times and it's pretty cool. They got a nice movie theater in there. We went to get burgers. Burgers made us sick.
Yeah, we both felt kind of funny after eating the burgers, and I don't know why, because they seemed perfectly fine.
Yeah, they just like, I guess the sauce they put on it was like a little too rich.
Yeah. Oh boy, look at this.
I was not expecting
Boy.
that guy to be right there. Oh no.
But yeah,
Who designed the characters in this game?
that's an excursion we took from the house.
Yeah.
Just
we went to
saying.
Uniqlo.
Yeah, they didn't have anything.
Uniqlo like usually has cool graphic t-shirts, but they only had like Sesame Street
Yeah.
shirts.
They had a whole lot of Sesame Street shit.
But
It was bizarre. I don't know how many people even know what the fuck Uniqlo is, because I had never seen one before when I came to Boston.
There's a lot in Boston though, so it's just kind of like a Japanese like Gap.
Yeah.
If I had to explain like what kind of store it was, it's like moderate prices.
It
Everything's,
literally
like,
is like
really-
the Gap if everything was for like small Asian people.
Yeah.
Like small, like it's all the kind of shit that Brandon Tolentino would wear was in that place.
I like the stuff there, but it's all like way too plain. Like
Yeah.
if I was like 26, maybe I would consider making my wardrobe
Yeah.
like have a little bit more like, you know, plain cardigans and just khakis, but you know, I still fucking wear
Not
leggings
that
and
far away from being
sweatshirts.
26.
I know. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to think about having to like revamp my wardrobe to like be a mom one day.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure I'll just like wear dresses and cardigans and like flats every day, or leggings and like sweaters in the winter.
Fucking getting their fashion future predictions going on.
Just
on
like-
the,
Like all neutral colors, but like now I rock like every color. So
By the way, while we're on this platform, do you have any interest in promoting your other podcast that you do now?
oh yeah, with Michelle.
Yeah.
Only watch it if you hate yourself.
All right. Well, that's everyone in our
Yeah,
audience. So.
if you hate yourself, go watch it. It's fun. Michelle's a fun co-host. I don't really know like the dynamic of the show yet because we've only recorded 2 episodes. The second episode hasn't come out yet. You just kind of like talk. It's kind of just girl talk.
I enjoyed episode 1, and I only heard half of episode 2 because I was just in the room while you were recording it, and you're wearing headphones, and I'm not. But your half was fucking hilarious. I greatly enjoyed episode 2. I can't wait for it to come out.
Yeah, I'm excited too, but I'm also worried because most of the episode was me just talking shit about people. I can't help myself. I'm just cynical in all ways, shapes, and form, and I don't
You're
get.
just like me. Basically.
It's like a lot of the things that I feel like I need to express are just the ways that like things people do makes me feel, and I have to understand like why does this upset me so much? Why am I like getting puffy because I saw somebody like tweet this? But it's like it's normal. I just hope that she cut out most of it.
Yeah, you can find it on the channel Michelle Tobin. T-O-B-I-N.
Put a link to it in the description.
The Cockcast.
I hope that
C-A-U-C-K
I really
cast.
hope that we have a different name for it eventually.
Cockcast. It's a stupid name. I'm surprised she went with it because you just said it as a joke.
It was because the first episode was about like boyfriends.
Right.
I'm sure that as we do more, they will be more solidified in what they are, but
Episode 2 is just about whatever.
yeah, it's like we aren't that similar. Like we're not like we make YouTube videos sometimes, but like it's not something we spend all of our time doing, so it's not like we have that as a common understanding. It's
But
just
you're
like
clearly on a wavelength because you're both
we're both like girls who are in the same sphere, the same
Yeah.
social sphere in some sense.
not just the same social sphere, but like what the meaning of that social sphere is. That you're someone who's dating an internet personality. Like, that in itself is like a weird lifestyle, you know? Like, both of you are people who have like moved away from home to live with a weird internet guy, you know? And like, you completely abandoned all social like relationships you had beforehand in the effort of doing so, you know? So it's like you're in a very
I can't
similar
speak
kind of
for
position.
her. I'm sure she still has friends.
She has openly said online that she has no friends.
No, I see her Twitter. She tweets at people. All
She
the
says
time.
she has no friends.
I think she's exaggerating. I don't have any friends.
I don't know. I think you underestimate
Michelle is my friend.
the
I
fact
have
that
2
Michelle
friends.
has actively
Oh, no. Oh, he's
pursued
gonna have
friendship with you
Crocodile.
for like 8
Oh, I already
months
have
now
Crocodile.
is definitely a sign that she is
no.
trying to make friends with you, so to have friends.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think basically what I'm trying to say is that both y'all ain't got no friends. I only
You don't
just
have any
realized it
friends
sounded like I was
either.
kind of shitting on Michelle, so I stopped myself.
You don't have any friends either. So
I have like 9 friends called the PCP. One of them lives in my house.
yeah.
Nobody can tell me
Sure.
that Tom's not my friend.
Sure.
I gave him a roof.
I'm excited to only move again because like I really don't feel like there's any need or reason to like expand my social circle.
Yeah,
because we're planning on moving.
We're in a weird position because we are not really sure where we're moving to yet.
It's like I didn't realize that the town we lived in was going to be like we were the minorities because there's not a lot of like young people who live here. It's all people in their 30s and there's like a lot of like Asian families.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of people who are like in their young 20s who would hang out with us.
Right.
So it's not like we can like go out and meet people.
Yeah, and by Asian you mean like literally like immigrant Asian, like
Yeah, like
people who are like a lot of them don't even speak English, you know, around here. Like there's a lot of Asian grocery stores where everything is done in Chinese, you know.
Which is cool. I like living in a place with like a lot of diversity, but I also would like to know people.
Right.
And this like our landlords live really far away, so they're not like a social connection.
No.
So, and our neighbors are all like older than us and like are into doing their lawn every day.
Yeah. Our neighbors all seem pretty boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, not that I necessarily see myself as somebody who'd hang out with my neighbors even if they were closer to my age. I mean, they were in our last place and we just avoided neighbors entirely, you know.
I mean,
like the second couple who moved in next to us were like closer to our age.
Yeah.
And,
That wasn't until like
kind of cool.
That wasn't until like late.
Yeah,
like
we were
the
already planning to
neighbors
leave
used
by
to be
then.
like they used to yell at each other all the time. And you can
Yeah.
like hear their kids screaming and like you didn't really want to associate with them because they were kind of scary. And then our other neighbors were like sushi chefs and their
Right.
house always smelled terrible.
But yeah, so
They never really like
I don't know if I necessarily would expect to like become like to like befriend my neighbors or anything, but certainly if they were closer in age, then they would be more like peers.
If
you know?
we went to a comic book store, went to a bar, and there are people our age, like chances are that we'll have something to say to those kinds of people, and
right,
we
if
make
you run
friends.
into the same guy over and over again.
Yeah,
going to the places
but if you
go.
like go to the grocery store and everybody's like in their 50s, or like
Right.
you go out to a restaurant and everybody's in their 70s, it's like, well, there isn't anybody really our age to hang out with, and all of our friends are really far away. Like Ben
Right.
lives like
Ben lives far enough that there needs to be a
on the
real
like
concrete
on the
plan.
other end of the city, a town,
Yeah.
state. I don't know. He lives on the other side of the
Ben
water.
and Zen Huxtable both live like far enough away that like if we don't have a concrete plan for what we're gonna do, or Kaze, like then we're you know it's not gonna be worth it for them to come over because like it's not an easy trip, you know, and
again like they aren't really my friends either.
Right.
Like I wouldn't hang out with them.
Yeah.
Kaze's cool to hang out with, but like I wouldn't like go shopping with them or like have them over for drinks. But
so yeah, for the most part none of them drink. Ben will drink, but you know he's on keto and all that shit. So yeah, we certainly could end up with more friends if we moved to certain places, but I mean
I
like,
was kind of excited to move to Boston because I thought that would sort of be the case.
yeah.
I did think that we would end up like closer to the city until like I started actually
right.
doing research and realizing like, oh, if we're not gonna get an apartment, there's like no way we can be in the city.
Right. So now we're talking about either moving
yeah, we
just
like
farther
nothing
away from the city so that it's cheaper.
nothing is set in stone because we don't know if who's coming yet, because like there's talk of people like moving
Yeah.
here, but they haven't like come up to visit and we haven't talked, and also
We haven't found a place or for them. Like if basically if Nate and I decide that we're both going to like move into like let's say the same neighborhood somewhere like an hour out from Boston, and like we can find a place that's cheap enough and we can live close enough that we could definitely work together like every single day, then it would be like, this is worth sticking around here to do this, and like we'd be close enough to everybody else that they can be involved as well. Like I don't necessarily count on like Ben or Munchie to be available every day to work on something with me and Nate, but like if we lived close enough, they can obviously be heavily involved. They could be over every weekend to film shit, you know, if available. But like if it's me and Nate and also Tom is still living with us, then like that's a 3-man crew already, you know. So like there's a lot more you can do with 3 people than you can do with 1 person, or you know. And like we've also got you and Michelle who would be around, and like you could obviously help with like camera work and stage hands and shit like that. So it's like there's a lot we could do with if we think of it as 5 people, you know.
Yeah.
And so I do think it would probably be worthwhile to stick around if we could get a setup that good, but we don't know if we can. And you know, there's also the possibility of moving to California where my parents are, and it seems like just a way cooler place to live than here, and by cooler I mean warmer.
Yeah.
Because it's currently freezing fucking cold in Boston, and it sucks.
Yeah,
So
it
every time
hasn't
we
even
wanna go to
started.
Walmart,
It
it's
hasn't
like-
even started snowing, but it's just, you know, it's gonna start soon, and it's gonna suck because it always sucks.
Back when we lived in Rochester, it was like, even without the threat of snow, going anywhere was kind of like a scary prospect, because we were so far out that it was like, if we want to go anywhere other than like McDonald's or Wegmans, it's gonna be like more than a 5-minute drive, you know. So like we would just stock up on shit and not leave the house very much, you know. Like we used to buy like a week of groceries at a time, and like, you know, just try to not leave the house at all if possible. And then because we'd have to dig out the car from under all the snow, and we haven't even gotten to the snow here yet.
I mean, it's gonna suck having to shovel the driveway, because at the old place, like, they would just have the plow come.
Right.
But we gotta shovel the driveway, which is like, it's fine, but it does mean that like if you want to go anywhere, it's gonna be an endeavor.
Right. And it's already starting to be that way just from the cold, because like we've gotten used to a life of, even though we spend most of our time indoors, we leave the house basically every day, because we live right next to like a bunch of convenient places, you know. So like we're always like making short trips to like the grocery store and shit, and like we only get groceries for like 3 days. But now it's like you go outside and you're just like, oh, we're just gonna make a quick run to buy straws, and then you realize that it's fucking freezing and you have to wear like 5 fucking layers and wait for the car to heat up to fucking defrost the fucking windshield so you could go buy straws, you know. It's just like, oh god, the North is wrong. But you all heard me rant about that on the Dick Show, if you listened to it. Oh boy, anything you've been thinking about? Oh, I never even actually got to the thing that I was saying that I didn't talk about before. With regards to the misanthropy rant. So here's the part I had forgotten about, which was that my feelings of misanthropy were being reinforced by the fact that I realized that I was born and bred in this mindset, that like a lot of why I feel the way I do about the world is that I was always surrounded by misanthropy. Because my mom, she hates most people, you know. Like my mom is the kind of person who's like, oh yeah, everybody's retarded and the world is fucked, because she watches the news and she sees bad things happen and she's like, oh, everybody's dumb, you know. And like so like that's the mindset that I grew up surrounded by. It's like the world is fucked because everybody's stupid, and most of the music that I grew up listening to was also like that. Because my mom was really big into System of a Down, and that's what all of their music is like. The world is fucked because everybody's stupid, you know? And like, I got into metal music and shit like that, just all stuff that basically conveys that message over and over again. And it's really funny to think about like the kind of stuff that I just listen to in my car that's just like regular agreeable music from my perspective, but then I think about what they're saying in these songs and I'm like, I'm just constantly surrounded by reinforcement of this idea that like, you know, all these things are incorrect
so
about
stupid.
the world.
Why would they put a ton of like slot machines if you can't interact with them?
Yeah.
Like, part of Pokemon having like the coin centers or casinos or whatever in the games is because it's like a feature of the game.
Yeah.
But like, what is the point of this?
It sucks.
It's just like it looks cool, but
There's no reason for it to.
why couldn't they just make a little game? Why? It's stupid.
It's a lazy game.
It's stupid.
My overall review of this game is that it is just not well play tested or like thought out, you know? Like they had the idea and they went with the idea, but they didn't try to perfect it as a video game.
Yeah, I have no idea what they were thinking when they made this game, but
They were thinking, let's make it edgy Pokemon for teens.
let's make a 3D Pokemon adventure and hand it off to the studio that we haven't had do anything.
Yeah. What was I just talking about?
You were talking about how you grew up
Oh yeah,
with-
listening to weird
with
music.
lots of like anti-people, and I really don't think that we should like raise our children in that environment because
No.
I don't necessarily like everybody and I don't agree with society, and I am kind of a misanthrope. I don't think it's good to like
Just
you know,
grow up
just-
believing that everybody sucks.
and that just be like a fact of life.
I mean, part of this is
Like-
because I grew up in the 90s when that was kind of the attitude of pop culture in general.
Yeah, but it's
you know?
different now.
Right.
It's
Well, now it's everybody's depressed and fucking. It's not different now. Nowadays, almost all pop culture is about how the world is fucked and everybody sucks. And now it's just from a different perspective. It's the
Yeah.
SJWs saying it. You
yeah,
know?
and I mean, who listens to them though?
The kids.
Well, they don't.
Kids do.
SJWs are jokes. Kids don't listen to the SJW crowd.
Yeah. Well.
I think that like it attracts people for certain reasons, but I don't think that that's a majority opinion or like even a thriving beat in media, in pop culture. I think that they do have a lot of influence in pop culture, but they ruin it, like the comic industry. Like nobody fucking cares
Yeah.
about comics anymore because SJWs
true.
have interjected their philosophy so much into the media where people just write it off.
Yeah.
Like, and yeah, it appeals to some people. Some people are into that, but it's again not a majority.
Yeah. It's a good point. I guess yeah, like pop culture has always had stuff going both ways. I'm not gonna try to make it out like the only pop music I was ever exposed to in my life was negative about people.
No.
But like when I listen to the kind of like voices that I generally agree with, it's like, yeah, most of the stuff that I like consume comes from this kind of place, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you don't catch me listening to a lot of stuff that's about how like the world is a great place, you know? You catch me listening to a lot of shit about how the system is rigged to fuck you, because that's what I believe, you know? And like it's I guess the reason I'm bringing it up is that when I think about how other people must perceive the world around them, it's one thing to believe that a lot of things are messed up and that like the system could probably use some fixing.
I mean, I think
But,
that's
like,
a realistic kind
yeah.
of approach because there are a lot of things that are like
Absolutely.
don't quite add up or don't really benefit most people, that we just kind of have accepted.
And most of us have encountered it on some level.
Oh yeah.
Like almost everybody
You
has
will.
been
It's
fucked
not.
over
It's not
in some
most.
way.
You will get fucked over
Right.
in one of these. Like, the world is not made for you to succeed.
No. So like everybody's gonna get fucked over, so everybody's gonna relate to getting fucked over. But I think that there's a difference between sort of having that as like a niggling thing that you know in the back of your mind and fixating on that as the way you understand the world, and that's
Yeah.
how I've done it. That's where I've taken this next step, because like when I sit back and really pay attention to the lyrics of all the music that plays in my car, I'm like, all of this music is misanthropic. All of it is about people who either feel that society isn't working correctly, or they just feel as though they are not working correctly personally, you know, that like something's wrong. Like, I don't think I listen to a lot of music that suggests that nothing's wrong at all, with the exception of maybe Andrew WK, you know.
But still, in his music, he's talking about partying by yourself.
Right, and like
Like-
talking about how he had hit like he reached this point after hitting an all-time
Yeah.
low, that he had to like build himself up from nothing to be something. And like, so, you know, when I think about that, and then I think about like just the media voices I consume, like Dick Masterson, his philosophy is very much a the world is fucked, everybody sucks kind of philosophy. And like, I listen to a lot of the Dick Show, and I don't listen to much other shit. I don't listen to like more positive voices in the media. I listen exclusively to like doomers, you know, like people who are like, yeah, most things are bad, you know. And so to me, that's kind of normal to think. Like, I go through my day to day just being like, yeah, the world sucks and everybody's fucked. Isn't that obvious? Isn't that just the baseline we're all working from? Like, shouldn't you be constantly in the mindset that everything you're doing is as a backlash to this fact, you know, as like your decision to cope with the way that the world is? But like, then I realized that a lot of people just aren't as mired in thinking about things that way. That like they don't perceive the world as like so fundamentally bad. And like, you know, for me it's like when something good happens, it's like, wow, something good actually happened. You know? I can't fucking believe it. Like this Pokemon game, obviously this is a travesty. This is one more reason humans shouldn't be allowed to exist. You know?
That's a little harsh. It's just not a great game.
It's a waste
But like,
of
I
time.
can understand why at a time people played this game. Like, I can understand why I was excited to buy this game when I was little and got it at launch. And I got like the bonus disc that you get at launch that has a Jirachi in it, and I was like, oh yeah, I have Jirachi.
remember-
This was the point of getting this game.
I remember when this game was first being announced in Nintendo Power, and this is like towards the back end of me getting those, and like seeing pictures from it and being like, holy shit, like, is this actually gonna be the Pokemon game I've been waiting for?
No.
But then like, as soon as I heard that you couldn't actually catch Pokemon in the game, I was just like, I don't give a fuck at all, you know? Like,
How
I
is
mean,
it
you-
even Pokemon?
yeah, it's not even the same game. Like, this is, oh, you don't go to gyms and you don't catch Pokemon? Like, then
Can't interact.
that's not, like,
Can't interact.
and if it hadn't been for the fact that it was the first 3D Pokemon adventure, then it wouldn't have been so bad, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like, we all thought that they were gonna make what now is Pokemon Let's Go, or like X and Y even. Like, I was waiting for that forever, you know?
Going up.
Which is why I was so fucking hyped for XY when it came out. Because it's basically what this game was supposed to be. You were supposed to be the chosen one. Hell, that's what I thought Pokemon Stadium was supposed to be when that came out. And then that was just like, oh. Oh, it's just the battles. Well, I guess that's okay. At least all the Pokemon are here.
Hey,
At least there's
I
mini
thought
games.
Pokemon Stadium was lit because it let you have rental Pokemon. So
Yeah.
even if you didn't bring your own team in, you could still play the game
Right.
with any Pokemon you wanted to. You
Yeah.
could pick your favorites. You could play it a variety of ways. You could play 4-person games. Like you could
Right.
play team battles and stuff.
The
and mini games were sick.
the
Like
mini
don't
games were
talk like
sick.
the mini games weren't like
No,
legendary.
No, the mini like I have both Pokemon Stadium games and we played the shit out of them as kids because of the mini games. But like, fucking when it came out, it was like, oh, because like the whole. When I played Pokemon, okay, my first console was an N64. So, like,
Yeah,
my
me too.
baseline for what is a video game is, like, N64.
Yeah, same.
And when when I had a Game Boy Color to play Pokemon with, it was like, I understood that because this is a mobile game, it's, not going to have the same level of graphics as, like, the shit that I've got on my N64. And, like, there didn't exist a Pokemon on the console, so it's not like I had any mental image of what it was supposed to look like in 3D, But, like, when they announced that they're making a Pokemon game for the N64, I'm expecting a Pokemon game that's just on the N64, I'm expecting it to be like Red and Blue or Gold and Silver, but on the N64.
It's really funny because, like, the first Pokemon game I ever played was Snap, and then Stadium, and then I played the actual Pokemon games.
That's funny.
Because the first game I got was Silver, but like I couldn't figure out how to leave my room because I was a dumb kid. So
Wow.
my dad played it, and I
That's
used to watch him
hilarious.
play it. But like I would play Pokemon Stadium all the time for the mini games and like to do the rental battles and stuff and play with my siblings. Because you could play multiplayer, which is like the funnest thing in the whole world. So it was always like I was always disappointed that these games weren't like Pokemon Stadium. Like when I put in Pokemon Colosseum and like it was like Colosseum, they're gonna have rental Pokemon.
It seemed
it's gonna
like it was supposed to be the next.
like even if there's an RPG element to it, you're gonna be able to do like random battles and play with your friends like you used to, because it's not really that difficult to program all the Pokemon in like that.
Yeah.
And they already do have there's a mode in this game where it's like that, but all the Pokemon are randomized. And it's like off a selected list, so it's not you can pick your teams.
Why?
And it's so stupid because like the fun of Pokemon Stadium was putting together your own team.
That was it was like, hey, you don't have to catch all the Pokemon you want to use.
But I was like so disappointed that like you couldn't just do that in this game, and like the RPG part of this game isn't that interesting. Like the characters are crazy looking but not memorable.
Right.
Like you only really remember Mirby because he has a fucking afro, but like all of the characters look ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like it's just
It was a huge letdown
and
both
they
times
give
in
you
a
the
row.
shittiest Pokemon. Like they
Yeah.
give you a Ladian.
Yeah.
What were they thinking?
And the game's just not well made. It's kind of a huge clusterfuck.
Look at the
of a
Pokemon
problem.
they decided to give you. A Furret, a Yama, a Quellfish,
Hey, I like Yanma.
an Ariados, this guy, a Dunsparce,
Hey, isn't that fat thing from
Gligar,
Gen 3 as
Ladian,
well?
Murkrow, like these are all shit Pokemon. Sunflora. Like there's some good guys in there, but most of them are shit.
Yeah. It's probably one of the worst Pokemon games. It's one of the lowest. The Pokemon Colosseum and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness are like the lowest rated Pokemon games that aren't like weird mobile offshoots.
Is this Suicune? What is this one?
According to
Raikou.
Metacritic.
Yeah, that's not hard to put together. Why?
Yeah.
What did she say to me? What did that soul say to me?
I'm sure there was probably more that I wanted to say about that misanthropic music thing at some point when I had the idea. But I mean, even by the time we did the actual rant, I probably would have forgotten half of what I was. Obviously, I left it out even entirely. I think there was something else I wanted to talk about on this show, but I don't even remember what it was. Oh, homesteading the Digisphere. I thought about doing that as its own podcast, but the biggest hang-up about us still being in this house is that, like, we want to move, like, sooner rather than later. Like, I don't even know how possible it is, like, how soon we are possibly able to move, but, like, the house we live in, like, the heating situation is really bogus, it's too expensive, and just generally we want to be able to start putting money away as fast as possible. So, like, we're just like, yeah, we gotta get out of this house before too very long. You know, like, we can't stay in here as long. Like, we originally planned to move here for, like, 2 or 3 years, probably, was, like, my original thought when we moved in. But, like, yeah, it's looking to be less like that, you know? So we're like, alright, let's get out of here. But that means that anything that we want to do to the house, as in whatever house we happen to live in, it's like, well, I'm not going to do that to this house if we're going to move, you know? Like, I'm not going to put up posters or, like, try to build a set or try to, like, you know, rig up lighting or try to grow weed, which we talked about trying to do. Like, anything that we would be interrupted by us moving, it's just like, might as well wait. So, but something I'm really into is the idea of trying to, like, go through all the different component parts of my life and, like, min-max them in a way. Like, look at what I'm spending and figure out how to get the cheapest version for the, let's say, just for a random example, like, plastic utensils, right? Like, figure out what is the minimum acceptable quality for them, and then what is the cheapest that I can get them at that quality, you know? And, like, do that for every aspect of my life. Just anything that we have to replace or go through, and then, like, analyze all of my equipment and be like, is this the best equipment for what I'm using it for? Do I have things that could be traded out or
plastic
resold?
utensils is such a funny example to use because, like,
yeah.
To be fair, we don't really even use them anymore.
No, but
like,
it was just an easy thing.
Yeah, I'm just, like, trying to think
quality grades that
of something else
compare.
that, like, just regular groceries would be, like, a better example of that.
Well, and I also want to use, like, yeah, I mean, regular groceries is a better example. But
I mean,
like,
I've been trying to, like, do that too. Like, I always look at the papers and see what's on sale and then, like, try to, you know, incorporate the on sale things into dinners.
And then also just, like, you know, putting more thought into the way everything is laid out and stuff like that. I tend to rearrange rooms. Like, I've been doing that a lot lately in this house, because that's one thing that you can do that you don't have to, like, buy anything new or put up something new. It's just like, I'll just move around the furniture real quick, you know, and see how it looks.
I'm getting
and,
my butt handed to me.
You know, when you rearrange a space, like, so I guess the reason this is on my mind is that when I rearranged this office a couple months ago, I want to say.
Yeah.
Like, originally the office was set up in a way where my desk was in front of the windows and the couch was in the middle of the floor. And basically, because of the fact that the room had kind of a cluttered setup, it could get messy really easily, and it also just felt like it didn't have a lot of space. So I rearranged it in such a way that there would be a huge open space in the center of the room, and now it doesn't get messy as easier, it looks and feels bigger, and, like, it's just generally a better space. However, it is extremely undecorated, because the previous way that things were set up, there was, first of all, there were more shelving units in here that I took out and got rid of because they didn't really have enough shit on them to justify being there. And, like, my collection was a clusterfuck, so it wasn't really usable as a backdrop for a while. And, like, just generally, it was easier to set up quick and dirty backdrops that were different from each other in the old setup, whereas in the current setup, it's like I just kind of have nothing as my backdrop at present if I film, like, a vlog or something. And, like, if I wanted to try to put up some kind of poster sets or something, or build an aesthetic, like, I put up this gigantic beach towel of a cheeseburger that covers, like, a huge section of one wall, and it looks fucking hilarious and great. I want to expand from there, you know? Like, I want to build an aesthetic in our, like, working space that is not just, like, anime posters all over the walls, because I've done that enough times, and, like, it's hard to find new anime posters. Like, you know, a lot of the ones I have, I want to trade out, and, like, there's nothing to really replace them with. So I'd rather go in the direction of really weird, eclectic, personalized, like, DIY kind of shit. And, like, wherever we, you know, whenever we find a place where we're really going to, like, this is going to be the place where we work, and, like, we're planning to be here for a while, and stuff like that, I just want to customize our whole house better, you know?
Yeah. I also would like to decorate and have, like, you know, a coordinating component or theme to all the rooms, instead of just, like, let's just throw up the shit that we have. Like, I'd like to get a better couch. I'd like to get better tables.
Yeah.
Like, I'd like to have more of a like a setup versus.
And I want to customize more of it. I want to be able to like we have this really cool. The table that we use to film on has a painting of Gurren Lagann on it that Victor did, and like I'd love it if like all of the stuff I have had some kind of unique aesthetic to it, so that when it shows up in videos it's memorable, and like it would create a sense of place. Like, you know, even in our last place, while it was really tiny and it wasn't that exciting of a location, I had still turned it into a character. It was the meta hole. If you were in the meta hole, you knew where everything was. The house we live in now, it's just like, it's just a big house that we live in, and I'm not trying to do anything with it video-wise, you know. I have not tried to build it as a location because I just haven't had the time or the money or the wherewithal to convert the house into something that would be a living location, you know, as in the background of my videos. It was a little bit like that in the Gecko Estate vlogs. Like, those were supposed to build up towards that, but because I didn't have the money to, like, buy anything, it was just like, well, the rooms are empty, and they're gonna stay that way until I can afford to furnish them.
Yeah.
And that day has yet to come. Like, I really... That was, like, my initial... Like, when we first moved in, my concern was not, let me make enough, like, money to... like, you know, start saving up. It was like, let me make enough money to build the sets I want to build to make impressive content in this place. But the Patreon had taken such a hit by that time that it was like, you can't even be worried about that. You know, it's more about worried about even subsisting than merely building. So yeah, we gotta go somewhere cheaper so that we can have the old mindset back of like, oh, we're building on this location, not that we're like trying to keep it built enough to live in, where, you know, we run out the heating oil and we lose hot water, and it's like, that's where we have to be worried, you know.
Yeah. Please freeze.
This is kind of a cool battle background.
I'm gonna fucking lose.
Hariyama.
No, for alligator, come back.
For alligator.
Oh,
you're
geez.
fucked.
Yeah, I
You're
know.
beyond fucked. You could probably heal Altaria and have a better
There's
chance.
no reason to. I'd rather have Ampharos. I just want to take out this Hariyama.
Oh shit, that did it decent. Can Ampharos finish him off? Will Skarmory kill Ampharos? No, he killed Altaria. Oh, he hit recoil. Anything been on your mind as of late that you wanted to talk about on this show? You ever had a moment where you're like, oh man, that'd be a good topic for Digi and they do?
I don't know. I like every time I go on Twitter, I just like lose more faith in a lot of things.
Well, you're out.
Yeah, it's not surprising. We could end it here if it's been enough time, because I just died.
Do you want to? Down.
How much time do we have?
It's been a while.
Okay,
We've been
yeah.
going a long time. We're well over an hour.
Yeah, let's end it here. There should only be like an episode left.
Alright, so did we make like decent progress this episode? Because I couldn't really tell what was happening.
Yeah, we got to the second part of the tower.
Alright, sick. Well, catch you all next time on what may be the last episode of Pokemon Colosseum, unless it turns out there's way more than we thought.
I'm saving again.
Peace out, everybody.
Bye bye.